I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? That line didn't just make Clint Eastwood a star, it changed Hollywood. Dirty Harry wasn't just a cop movie, it was chaos. Rejected scripts, walkouts, injuries, and a production on the edge of collapse. But when the smoke cleared, it created one of cinema's most controversial anti-heroes and redefined what an action movie could be. Today we're diving deep into the shadows with weird facts about Dirty Harry. 1. Believe it or not, Clint Eastwood wasn't the first choice to play Harry Callahan. In fact, he almost didn't play him at all. The original star attached to the project was none other than Frank Sinatra. Warner Brothers had tailored the entire production around him. The suits, the swagger, even the gun scenes. But fate intervened when Sinatra injured his hand, making it impossible for him to hold the heavy .44 Magnum for long takes. Producers started shopping the role around to big names like John Wayne, Steve McQueen, and Paul Newman. They all turned it down. Finally, it landed on Eastwood's desk. The irony? Newman himself recommended Eastwood for the part. Eastwood accepted on one condition: no one would soften the storyline. He wanted Harry to be brutal, morally gray, and very violent. The studio hesitated, but Clint's demands stuck, and the rest is history. 2. Back then, most crime movies were shot on fake studio sets, but Dirty Harry was shot entirely on location in San Francisco. The city itself became as crucial to the story as Harry or Scorpio. Director Don Siegel refused to film on Hollywood backlots. He wanted real streets, real light, real danger. The crew filmed in unpredictable conditions. They shot on rooftops, back alleys, and at landmarks like Kensar Stadium, where the film's opening sniper scene unfolds. Locals gathered to watch as Eastwood walked their streets with a revolver, often without realizing they were watching a live shoot. But the realism came with chaos. San Francisco authorities were rarely warned about the loud blanks being fired during night scenes, leading to confusion and police interference. One night, an officer nearly drew his real weapon on Eastwood, thinking the shootout was real. So that authentic look of Dirty Harry wasn't movie magic? Yeah, it wasn't. It was guerrilla filmmaking, raw, dangerous, and barely under control. A line between fiction and reality. 3. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? That line defined an era, but so did the gun. The Smith & Wesson Model 29, a .44 Magnum revolver that became instantly iconic. Clint Eastwood made it look like the deadliest weapon ever built. The movie called it the most powerful handgun in the world, and millions believed it. But the truth? It wasn't. The revolver was too powerful for normal police work. Its recoil was intense and its size awkward. Real police departments rarely used it. What made it powerful wasn't real, it was a myth. What the audience didn't know is that the gun was less about what it could fire and more about what it symbolized. And that symbol of toughness, control, and fearlessness wasn't just on screen. Clint Eastwood became it. 4. He wasn't just acting tough, he was living it. During the rooftop chase sequence, Eastwood performed nearly all the action himself, running across ledges, sliding down ladders, and firing live blanks during takes. Warner Brothers begged him to use a stunt double. He refused. He said Harry wouldn't have a double. The stunt team called him reckless, but he didn't care. Eastwood's background in westerns had trained him to handle falls, guns, and physical endurance. But the risk was real. One wrong move could have sent him tumbling off a building. After filming, Siegel admitted he was terrified every time the camera rolled. If Eastwood slipped, they'd lose both their star and their movie. What fans got to see was pure adrenaline. Yes, the quiet rooftop chase wasn't just thrilling cinema. It was real danger, captured in one take and frozen in film history. 5. Now, here's something even hardcore Clint fans don't know. Dirty Harry was technically the first movie he ever directed. During production, director Don Siegel fell ill, and the film's schedule risked collapse. But the man playing the lead didn't wait. Clint Eastwood stepped in, quietly directed a full sequence, including the suicide jumper scene, and kept the camera rolling. The crazy part? Nobody even realized until after filming that Clint had basically saved the shoot. That moment ended up lighting the fuse for his directing career. A few years later, he was winning Oscars for films he made himself. So Dirty Harry didn't just showcase Eastwood as an actor. It foreshadowed him as a filmmaker, a talent that has been hidden to fans. Take a second to like our video and subscribe to our channel to enjoy uncovering untold facts about more Hollywood stories. 6. San Francisco in the late 1960s was haunted by the Zodiac Killer. Reports, taunting letters, unsolved murders, and vanishing without a trace. The real inspiration for Harry Callahan was Dave Toschi, the detective who investigated the Zodiac Killer. Toschi was well known for his shoulder pouch, unconventional methods, and ruthless hunt for criminals. Before filming, Clint Eastwood met him briefly and copied the way he walked, stood, and even held his gun. Years later, Toschi admitted, "They got it a little wrong, but I could see the shadow." Something few knew was that Dirty Harry wasn't pure fiction. It was modeled after a real man who hunted real monsters. 7. Speaking of monsters, the movie's villain wasn't fiction either. Scorpio was directly inspired by the Zodiac Killer, the same real-life murderer who terrorized San Francisco in the late 60s. The Zodiac taunted police with coded letters and symbols, bragged about his crimes, and was never caught. Director Don Siegel and writer Harry Julian Fink borrowed heavily from the Zodiac's case files. Even Scorpio's letters and symbols were depicted from real events. The scariest part? When Dirty Harry was filming, the Zodiac case was still unsolved. People in San Francisco whispered that Dirty Harry was exploiting an open wound of a city still afraid, watching its nightmare reenacted on the big screen. But for Siegel and Eastwood, that was the point. The film was a confrontation. 8. Every great hero needs a villain, and in Dirty Harry, the villain wasn't just evil, he was unsettlingly real. Andrew Robinson, who played the psychotic Scorpio killer, was so convincing that audiences actually believed he was evil in real life. After the movie's release, he received hate mail and death threats and even got assaulted twice in public. He later admitted the role nearly ruined his career. Casting directors avoided him, fearing his face would remind fans of the film's violence. It took years for him to land regular work again, and even then, people still whispered Scorpio when he walked by. Robinson eventually joked, "I guess I was too good at being bad." What fans didn't know was that Robinson is actually a pacifist. He hated violence and could barely hold a gun during production, but his unforgettable performance almost became his curse. Dirty Harry wasn't just a movie in the end. It was a turning point, a line in the sand between heroes and villains, between doing the right thing and becoming obsessed. Every bullet fired, every glare from Eastwood's eyes, and every scream that echoed through the streets of San Francisco stemmed from real fear, real tension, and real revolt. It didn't just change the cop genre, it rewrote what Hollywood was willing to show. And half a century later, the legend of Harry Callahan still stands tall, unflinching, and unforgettable. What fact really had you blown away the most? Let's hear it in the comments. See you in the next one.